So I fired a client early on in my real estate sales career, much to the chagrin of the office manager at the time, and much to the delight of the two agents who were the inheritors of this listing. I fired this client, and it was kind of crazy. I understand why. I understand why the office manager was concerned and disappointed. I also understand why the two agents who inherited this listing were thrilled and thought I was completely bananas, and probably thought that my sales career was going to be short, right? Because at the time it was easily the nicest listing I had ever had. This was pre-COVID. The listing was above $300,000, which would put it well above $500,000 just after COVID inflation. And it was a beautiful home, a beautiful listing. And again, I fired this person because this was a past client. I had already done business with this person, and they gave me this listing. They were interested in downsizing, and they had some pretty specific criteria that they wanted to downsize to. Nevertheless, put their home on the market because they're ready to sell and downsize, show it, open houses, receive a couple offers, negotiate, and then we got an offer that came in, and we negotiated and we negotiated, and this seller of mine had me send some terms across to the buyers that they agreed upon. They said, okay, we'll accept those terms and go forward. They adjusted their contract. They submitted it to me. I submitted it to my seller, and there it died. And we waited and we waited, and my seller simply wouldn't even respond. And the buyer's agent was so upset with me, understandably, because they don't know what's going on. Like, I have a fiduciary duty of loyalty to this seller. I'm not going to throw my clients under the bus. So I am giving this agent very brief, very short answers, telling them essentially where we were, which was I'm in a holding pattern, waiting. They clearly thought we were playing games. They got angry. They filed a report against me. I had to speak with the brass about it. But my seller just eventually, after they walked away, came back and told me some garbage about how she researched them on Facebook and didn't like what she saw and blah blah blah. They had more money than they were, saying that they did, and it just, crap. It was crap. So then I hold another open house. At this point in time, the writing was on the wall for me, right? I knew that this relationship was going to end and going to end soon. However, I had already committed to running an open house, so I did. During the open house, another couple came through. We got to talking. They're talking about this. They're talking about that. And I told them, listen, if you come in unrepresented, maybe I can trim a little bit off the commission and make things work out for the numbers, right? Just speaking off the cuff, trying to put a deal together. That's kind of, I feel that's what I get paid to do, is put deals together. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's not easy at all. Sometimes you put a deal together and then you got to work like hell to save it when things go sideways, right? But I feel like I get paid to put deals together. So I'm having this conversation with these people. They leave. They're thinking about it. I call my seller. Hey, listen, these folks came through. This is what they're saying. I told them that maybe I'd make an adjustment on commission if we could put things together. Wait, what? You said what? You said what? I said I might, make an adjustment on my commission and make things work better. Why didn't you have that conversation with me before you did them? I said, you know what? You're right. I should have. My apologies. I'm just trying to sell your house. And me making an adjustment to my commission, by the way, would save you money. So that's all I was trying to do. I meant no harm. I certainly meant no disrespect. I'm just trying to put a deal together and sell this property. That's what you have hired me to do, to represent you in the sale of this property. Well, Jonathan, I think, we need to have a conversation. Why don't you come by my house? So we set a date and time for me to come by the house. I had no intent to listen to whatever bullshit was coming my way. So when I arrived at the home, I knocked on the door. She opened up. Jonathan, come on in. I said, no, thank you. I am not going to represent you anymore. I'm no longer interested in it. I'm just here to grab my sign and my lockbox and I'll be on my way. Well, I just wanted to talk to you about, this, that, and this, and you should have talked about reducing the commissions to me. I say, yeah, that's just one other thing that we don't see eye to eye on. I am not going to represent you anymore. However, I don't own the listing. My broker does. My office manager will be in touch with you to find you representation that aligns with your interests more than I do. Thank you. Have a great day. Took my box, took my sign. I was out. Called the office manager on the way out of there, told her what I had just done, because I certainly wasn't going to have that conversation before I did. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted nothing to do with this person, right? I knew that this person, it was playing a big game, and I was the basketball being bounced up and down the court. I knew it. I did say I was early on in my real estate sales career, but it was not early on in my sales career. By that point, I had been in consultative sales for over 11 years. I had sold millions and millions and millions of dollars of products and services. And I had dealt with many, many, many different personalities, if not all different personality types, very close. And I knew what was going on. I mean, I say it all the time. Consultative sales is a practice in applied psychology. I mean that, and I believe it to my marrow. I study these things. I pay attention to human behavior because human behavior, it's what we deal with every single day, right? Our job is to influence human behavior, right? Said this in past podcasts, and you guys have heard this. My job is to influence human behavior. I can sleep well at night because I'm trying to influence my client's behavior towards their end goal while protecting them. I have their best interest in mind, 100% every single time. So that's okay. But I know I need to package information and present it to them to help them make those decisions that are best for them and their families. Okay. That said, I have studied human behavior and psychology basically since high school is when I really got into it, mostly because of my own issues and trying to figure out what my problem was. But nevertheless, that's when I got into psychology, and I've never stopped studying it. It is the most fascinating thing to me on this earth. Why do human beings do what they do? Why? That question is the most interesting question to me that there is. So I just recognized that this was not a serious client. This was not a client who really wanted to sell and move. This was a client who, for whatever internal motivations they had, wanted to play this game and see how it played out in the marketplace. You don't negotiate to a finish line and then have the other side agree to your terms, right? They came up and agreed to your terms just to turn your nose up at them and walk away and leave them all pissed off. And you don't do that if you're serious, right? You don't get upset because your agent is trying to put a deal together and doesn't follow the exact protocol, even though it would have saved you money and helped you achieve your goal. And you don't ignore the prospective deal that's out there just to have the opportunity to chastise your agent if you're serious. I knew this person wasn't serious. I had been through it before. I've been burned before by the not serious client. Okay. So that said, I'm a sales veteran, but I am new in real estate sales. The office manager thinks I'm making a horrible, terrible mistake. I tell her, no, listen, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. I'm not going back there. I'm no longer representing this person. I don't even care if I get a referral fee if the next person sells it. You can pass it along to whomever you want. I am not doing it anymore. Sorry if you're pissed. It gets passed on to who was my trainers at the time, and they're thrilled. They're thrilled to have this gorgeous home and new listing. And I can see in their faces and their gestures like, man, he really screwed this one up. Oh, what a joker, right? Anyways, they take it over. 3 weeks afterwards, one of those people knock on my office door. and thanks me for sending us the crazy bitch. And all I could do was chuckle and say, look, I knew it. I knew it. That's why I did what I did. I was cutting my losses. I was, early on. I was not going to spend any more time dealing with that if I didn't have to. And I don't have to. That's the beauty of being an independent contractor. I can make those decisions, right? We can all make those decisions. When you're under the umbrella of another broker and brokerage, you've got to justify those decisions, but I can make that decision and nobody can tell me I can't, right? So I just chuckled and said, sorry, not sorry. 2 weeks after that, that house came off the market. She never moved because she was never serious. I knew it. I was not surprised. The whole lesson therein, guys, is one of the most important things for salespeople, professionals, and it doesn't matter what you're selling, where you're selling it. You have to know, you have to be able to gauge when the client is serious or not, and when you need to back off, when you need to cut ties, cut that relationship off. I've gotten pretty good at it. And listen, you're going to make mistakes. I have made a couple mistakes, right, in this sales career. I have fired the client who then went on to do business when I didn't think they were going to. But I will tell you this, for every one mistake like that, 19 of those decisions are correct because I've made a study of human behavior. When their actions are contradictory to their stated goals, to the point where they sabotage their own success, that is not a serious client. That is not a serious person. Let me repeat that. When your client's actions contradict their stated aims and goals, especially when sabotaging the goal within view, that is not a serious client. So you've got to be gauging their behavior. And most of the times when I see people when I work with agents or sales reps who get burned by this sort of behavior, who stick with this person way too long, and they spend all kinds of time and all kinds of energy to get nowhere and to get nothing out of it. And these are things that drive people out of the business. These are experiences that cause people to lose faith in humanity. I'm saying, if you're doing that, you're the one screwing up. It's not the client who wasted all your time and energy. It's you who wasted your time and energy. You can't blame that person. They are what they are. They were that before you ever even connected with them, okay? You got to be the one to ask the right questions, to challenge your own assumptions, to challenge that client when their actions are contradicting their stated aims and goals. If you don't address that in a very direct manner, they will play you and play you and play you as long as you let them. But if you address it quickly, if you are direct and you say, hey, listen, you said this, but now you're doing this. I thought this was our goal, but what you've just done and or said is not getting us there. As a matter of fact, it's taking us in the opposite direction. What gives? I need a real explanation as to why you're doing this. Then you're screwing up. If you're a professional, you deserve an explanation. That's not asking too much. If you're a professional, then you need to value your time. It's all you got, right? It's one thing that we have in common with Elon Musk, with Bill Gates. You name your super duper successful person. We all share 24 hours in a day. Okay, if you aren't professional enough to respect your own time, you're going to get burnt. So it's on you as the sales pro to pay very close attention to the behavior of your client and to make a determination whether or not it is contradictory to the stated aims and goals. And if you find that it is, or even think that it is your responsibility to yourself and your family, first and foremost, to call them on the carpet about that behavior, to be direct with them. Don't be shy. Don't be indirect. Don't be coy. You will get burned. Be direct and demand answers for why the behavior is what it is. All right. That's my little nugget for you today. Thanks for joining me. As always, take care of yourself. Take care of one another. I love you, people.